Welcome to our epic journey through the Battle of Alderaan, seen through the eyes of the formidable Darth Malgus. In this series, we'll dive deep into his strategic brilliance, the intense battles he fought, and his interactions with both allies and foes. This story spans 15 thrilling chapters, and today we kick off with chapters 1 through 5. If you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Your support helps us bring more epic Star Wars stories to life. May the Force be with you. Chapter 1. The calm before the storm. The dimly lit chamber echoed with the low hum of machinery, casting an eerie glow on the metallic walls adorned with Sith symbols. Darth Malgus stood at the center, his imposing figure cloaked in black robes, the red lightsaber at his belt a constant reminder of his deadly prowess. His mask, a symbol of his relentless drive and the battles he had survived, concealed his scarred visage, leaving only his piercing eyes visible. Malgus's thoughts drifted to his past, to the moments that had shaped him into the warrior he had become. Born as Varadun, he had been taken from his homeworld and thrust into the brutal training of the Sith. The years of harsh lessons, unyielding discipline, and the constant presence of death had forged him into a weapon of the dark side. He had risen through the ranks with a single-minded determination, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. A soft chime interrupted his reverie. The hollow communicator on the central console flickered to life, projecting the image of Darth Vindican, his trusted apprentice. Vindican, a Zabrak with crimson skin and fierce yellow eyes, inclined his head in respect.
Master Malgus!
Vindican greeted, his voice carrying the weight of their shared experiences.
The Council awaits your presence. They have urgent matters to discuss.
Malgus nodded, his eyes narrowing.
Prepare the ship. I will join you shortly.
As the hologram faded, Malgus allowed himself a moment of contemplation. The political tensions between the Sith Empire and Alderaan had reached a boiling point. Alderaan, a beacon of hope and resistance, had long been a thorn in the side of the Sith. Its strategic location and symbolic importance made it a prime target for conquest. The Council's summons could only mean one thing. It was time to bring Alderaan to its knees. The Sith Council chamber was a stark contrast to Malgus's private quarters. The vast room was bathed in an ominous red light, and the air crackled with the dark energy of the gathered Sith Lords. Malgus strode forward, his presence commanding attention as he took his place among the other members. At the head of the chamber stood Darth Mar, a formidable figure clad in black armor, his face hidden behind a fearsome mask. His deep voice resonated through the room.
Darth Malgus, we have a task that requires your unique skills. Alderaan must be brought to heel.
Malgus inclined his head.
I am ready, my lord. What are the specifics of the mission?
Darth Mar gestured to a holographic display that materialized in the center of the room, showing the planet Alderaan.
Alderaan's defenses are formidable, but not insurmountable. We need a decisive strike that will cripple their resistance and demonstrate the futility of opposing the Sith Empire. You will lead the assault.
Malgus studied the display, his mind already working through the possible strategies.
I will need a fleet capable of breaking through their orbital defenses and enough ground forces to secure key locations.
Granted,
Mar replied.
You will have access to our finest ships and troops. Darth Vindican will accompany you as your second-in-command. We expect nothing less than total victory.
Malgus's eyes gleamed with determination.
Alderaan will fall, my lord. I will ensure it.
Back aboard his flagship, the Deceiver, Malgus convened a meeting with his closest advisors. Vindican was already there, along with a cadre of experienced officers and strategists. The tension in the room was palpable as they gathered around the central holotable.
Our objective is clear.
Malgus began, his voice cutting through the silence.
We will break Alderaan as spirit and bring them into submission. Our first target will be their orbital defenses. Without them, their planet will be vulnerable to our assault.
Vindican nodded, his eyes fixed on the holotable.
Their spaceports and communication hubs must be neutralized quickly. We cannot allow them to call for reinforcements.
Malgus turned to one of his officers, a stern-faced woman named Captain Rylan.
Captain, I want a full analysis of their defense grid. Identify any weaknesses we can exploit.
Rylan saluted sharply.
At once, Lord Malgus.
As Rylan and her team worked on the analysis, Malgus continued to outline his strategy.
Once we have control of their orbital defenses, we will launch a ground assault on key locations. Their capital city, Alderaan, is our primary target. We will decimate their leadership and secure the planet.
Vindican's lips curled into a sinister smile.
And what of the Jedi? Alderaan is known to harbor several Jedi Knights.
Malgus's expression hardened.
The Jedi will be dealt with. Their presence will only serve to highlight the futility of resisting the Sith. We will crush them and show the galaxy the true power of the dark side.
Days later, the fleet was assembled and ready for departure. The Deceiver led a formidable armada with sleek starfighters and massive warships poised to strike. Malgus stood on the bridge, his gaze fixed on the stars as they prepared to jump to hyperspace. Vindican approached, his demeanor confident.
Everything is in place, Master. Our forces are prepared for the assault.
Malgus nodded, his mind focused on the task ahead.
Good. Alderaan has stood against us for too long. It is time they learned the price of defiance.
As the stars elongated into streaks of light, the fleet jumped to hyperspace, leaving the dark void behind. The journey to Alderaan was brief, but filled with anticipation. Malgus knew that this battle would be a defining moment in his campaign to cement the Sith's dominance. The fleet emerged from hyperspace, the planet Alderaan looming large on the view screen. Its beauty and tranquility belied the turmoil that was about to unfold. The calm before the storm.
All ships, prepare for combat.
Malgus ordered, his voice resonating with authority.
We will strike swiftly and without mercy.
The bridge buzzed with activity as officers relayed orders and coordinated the fleet's movements. Malgus's eyes remained fixed on the planet, his thoughts a whirlwind of strategy and resolve.
Remember,
He said, his voice lowering to a menacing tone.
we are the harbingers of the dark side. We will show Alderaan the true meaning of fear.
The fleet advanced, the first wave of starfighters breaking away to engage the orbital defenses. Explosions lit up the void as the battle commenced, the silence of space shattered by the roar of engines and the clash of weapons. Malgus watched as his forces executed their maneuvers with precision, the initial skirmishes going in their favor. But he knew this was only the beginning. The real test would come on the ground, where his leadership and ruthlessness would be put to the ultimate test. Turning to Vindican, Malgus's eyes burned with determination.
Prepare the ground forces. We will launch the assault on Alderaan as soon as the orbital defenses are neutralized.
Vindican bowed slightly.
As you command, Master.
Malgus allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The battle was underway, and he was confident in his plan. Alderaan would fall, and with it, a powerful symbol of resistance against the Sith. He would ensure it, no matter the cost. The calm before the storm was over. The storm had begun. Chapter 2, Shadows of the Past. The quiet hum of the Deceiver's engines filled the silence as Darth Malgus stood alone in his quarters, staring out into the vast expanse of space. The battle ahead loomed large in his mind, but tonight his thoughts were elsewhere, pulled back into the shadows of his past. Malgus's childhood was a distant memory, one that he seldom revisited. Born as Varadun, his early years were marked by a fierce independence and an insatiable curiosity about the Force. He remembered the day he was taken from his homeworld, chosen by the Sith for his latent potential. The rigorous training that followed had been brutal, designed to break him down and rebuild him as a weapon of the dark side. His mind wandered to one of the first significant trials of his training, a duel with a fellow apprentice, Kess. The memory was vivid, every detail etched into his consciousness.
Varadun, you must learn to channel your anger.
His master had said, a tall, imposing figure with cold eyes.
Only then can you tap into the true power of the dark side.
Kess had been a formidable opponent, her skills nearly matching his own. The duel had been fierce, both apprentices pushing their limits. But Veridun had one advantage, his unrelenting drive to prove himself. The duel ended with Kess on the ground, her lightsaber clattering away as he stood over her, victorious.
That was your first lesson in the power of the dark side.
His master had said, a hint of approval in his voice.
Never forget it.
The sound of the door hissing open brought Malgus back to the present. Darth Vindican entered, his presence a reminder of the battle to come.
Master, we are approaching Alderaan.
Vindican said, his voice breaking the silence. Malgus nodded, turning to face his apprentice.
Good. Are the preparations complete?
Everything is in place. The ground forces are ready, and our ships are positioned to strike at your command.
Excellent.
Malgus replied, his mind still half in the past.
Vindican, do you ever think about what brought you to the Sith? The choices and events that shaped your path?
Vindican's yellow eyes flickered with curiosity.
Occasionally, Master. But I find it more useful to focus on the present and future rather than dwell on the past.
Malgus studied his apprentice for a moment, then turned back to the viewport.
There is wisdom in that. Yet, understanding our past can give us insight into our strengths and weaknesses. It is not dwelling, it is learning.
Vindican nodded, accepting his master's words.
As you say, Master.
Do you know what drives me, Vindican?
Malgus asked, his tone introspective.
You seek power and victory for the Sith Empire.
Vindican replied confidently.
Partly.
Malgus agreed.
But it is more than that. I seek to prove that the Sith way is superior. The Jedi believe in peace and restraint, but I have seen how their ideals crumble under pressure. They are misguided, holding back their true potential out of fear.
The memory of a past encounter with a Jedi Knight surfaced in Malgus's mind. It had been on a distant world, a battle that had tested him both physically and mentally. The Jedi, a noble warrior named Kalar, had fought valiantly, embodying the principles of the Jedi Order.
You fight well, Sith.
Kalar had said during their duel, his blue lightsaber a blur of motion.
But you are driven by anger. It will be your undoing.
And you, Jedi, are shackled by your own code.
Malgus had retorted, pressing his attack.
Your restraint makes you weak.
The duel had ended with Kalar's defeat, but the words had lingered with Malgus. They had reinforced his belief that the Jedi's way was flawed, that only through embracing the full power of the dark side could one achieve true strength. Vindican's voice brought him back to the present again.
And the defenders of Alderaan? What of them?
They will fight bravely.
Malgus acknowledged.
Alderaan has always been a symbol of resistance against the Sith. But their courage will not be enough. We will crush them and show the galaxy the futility of opposing us.
Meanwhile, on the surface of Alderaan, preparations for the impending conflict were underway. In the capital city of Alderaan, General Karth Onasi and Jedi Knight Sattel Shan were in a heated discussion.
The Sith are coming,
Karth said, his voice tinged with urgency.
We need to fortify our defenses and evacuate as many civilians as possible.
Sateli nodded, her expression calm yet determined.
I agree, but we must also be prepared to face them directly. Our people need hope, and they need to see that we are willing to stand and fight.
We've already mobilized our forces, but we're outnumbered. Our best chance is to hold them off long enough for reinforcements to arrive.
Sateli's eyes met his, a shared resolve passing between them.
We will do what we must to protect Alderaan. The Jedi will stand with you, General.
As the two leaders finalized their plans, the people of Alderaan prepared for the storm that was about to descend upon them. Families gathered their belongings, soldiers readied their weapons, and the sense of impending conflict hung heavy in the air. Back aboard the Deceiver, Malgus stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the planet growing larger in the viewport. The time for reflection had passed. Now it was time for action.
Vindican, give the order.
Malgus commanded, his voice steely.
Begin the assault!
Vindican relayed the command, and the bridge buzzed with activity. The fleet surged forward, starfighters launching from their bays and warships moving into attack positions. Malgus watched as the first wave of fighters engaged Alderaan's orbital defenses, explosions lighting up the void. The battle had begun, and there was no turning back. He turned to Vindican, a dark determination in his eyes.
This is only the beginning. We will bring Alderaan to its knees and show the galaxy the true power of the Sith.
As the battle raged on, Malgus's thoughts remained focused on the task at hand. He had come a long way from the young apprentice named Veradun, but his drive and ambition had never wavered. The shadows of his past had shaped him, but it was the promise of the future that fueled his relentless pursuit of victory. Alderaan would fall, and with it, a powerful symbol of resistance. Malgus would ensure it, no matter the cost. Chapter 3. Assembling the fleet. The command center aboard the Deceiver buzzed with activity as officers and crew members prepared for the upcoming battle. Darth Malgus stood at the center of the room, his presence commanding and his gaze intense. The holographic display before him showed the fleet's formation, each ship meticulously positioned for the assault on Alderaan.
Captain Rylan, status report.
Malgus ordered, his voice cutting through the din. Captain Rylan, a seasoned officer with a reputation for efficiency, stepped forward and saluted.
My lord, the fleet is assembled and ready. All ships have reported in and are prepared for departure on your command.
Malgus nodded, his eyes scanning the display.
Good. Ensure that all fighters are prepped and the ground forces are on standby. We will strike swiftly and decisively.
As Rylan relayed the orders, Malgus turned his attention to the other Sith commanders gathered in the room. Darth Vindican stood by his side, a constant and reliable presence, but the other commanders represented a mix of ambition and rivalry.
Lord Varys, Lord Athos.
Malgus addressed them, his tone authoritative.
You will each lead a division of the fleet. Coordinate with Captain Rylan and ensure that our forces are in perfect synchronization.
Lord Barras, a corpulent Sith Lord known for his cunning, inclined his head slightly.
As you command, Malgus. My ships are ready to engage at a moment's notice.
Lord Athos, a lean and wiry figure with a reputation for brutality, smirked.
My division will be the spearhead of the attack. Alderaan will not know what hit them.
Malgus's eyes narrowed as he surveyed the two commanders.
This is not a contest for personal glory. Our objective is the total subjugation of Alderaan. Failure is not an option.
A tense silence followed his words. The power dynamics within the Sith hierarchy evident in the room, Malgus knew that cooperation among Sith was always precarious, balanced on a knife edge of mutual ambition and distrust. Vindican stepped forward, his voice breaking the tension.
Lord Malgus speaks the truth. We must act as one to achieve victory. Let us put aside our rivalries until Alderaan is ours.
As the final preparations were made, Malgus took a moment to address the crew of the Deceiver. His image was broadcasted across the ship, his voice resonating with authority and determination. The other commanders exchanged glances, but nodded in agreement. The gravity of the mission and the presence of Malgus's formidable will were enough to quell any immediate dissent. As the commanders dispersed to oversee their preparations, Malgus and Vindican remained, reviewing the final details of the operation. The holographic display shifted to show key military assets that would play crucial roles in the assault.
Here are the specialized troops we will deploy. The 501st Legion, renowned for their effectiveness in ground combat, will be at the forefront of the assault on Alderaan. We also have the Shadow Guard, elite Sith warriors trained for covert operations and assassination.
Malgus nodded in approval.
Ensure the Shadow Guard are positioned to take out key targets within the city. Alderaan's leadership must be neutralized swiftly to prevent any organized resistance.
Vindican moved to another section of the display, showcasing the starships.
The Ravager and Devastator, our most powerful warships, will lead the charge against Alderaan's orbital defenses. They are equipped with advanced shielding and heavy turbo lasers, capable of breaching even the most fortified positions.
Malgus's eyes gleamed with anticipation.
Excellent. With these assets, we will overwhelm their defenses and secure a foothold on the planet. The element of surprise will be crucial. They must not have time to mobilize their full defenses.
The fleet hurtled through the void, each moment bringing them closer to their target. The calm before the storm was over. The time for battle had arrived, and Darth Malgus was ready to unleash his fury upon Alderaan.
Soldiers of the Sith Empire, the time has come to strike a decisive blow against our enemies. Alderaan has stood defiant for too long, a symbol of resistance and rebellion. Today, we will shatter that symbol and bring them to their knees. Remember, our strength lies in our unity and our resolve. We are the harbingers of the dark side, and we will show the galaxy our true power. Victory is within our grasp, for the Sith.
A chorus of affirmations echoed through the ship as the crew prepared for the impending battle. Malgus felt a surge of dark satisfaction. The fleet was ready, the plan was in motion, and the fate of Alderaan was sealed. Vindican approached him, a hint of pride in his voice.
The men are ready, Master. They will follow you to the ends of the galaxy.
Malgus nodded, his expression fierce.
And we will lead them to victory, Vindican. Alderaan will fall, and with it, we will pave the way for the Sith Empire as dominance. Prepare for departure.
The bridge of the Deceiver came alive with activity as final checks were made and coordinates were plotted. The vast armada, a testament to the Sith Empire's military might, began to move into formation, ready to jump to hyperspace. As the stars streaked into lines and the fleet surged into hyperspace, Malgus stood at the forefront, his mind focused on the battle to come. He could feel the anticipation, the thrill of the impending conflict, and the dark satisfaction of what was to come.
We will show them no mercy,
he murmured to himself, a predatory smile on his lips.
Alderaan will learn the true meaning of fear.
Chapter 4. The invasion begins. The blackness of space was pierced by the sudden appearance of the Sith fleet, emerging from hyperspace with deadly precision. Darth Malgus stood on the bridge of the Deceiver, his eyes locked on the planet Alderaan, now looming large on the view screen. The serenity of the planet's blue and green surface belied the chaos that was about to unfold.
Open a channel to the fleet,
Malgus commanded, his voice resonating with authority. A communications officer nodded and activated the fleet-wide broadcast. Malgus's image was transmitted to every ship, his presence a beacon of resolve.
Warriors of the Sith Empire, our moment of glory has arrived. Today, we bring Alderaan to its knees. Execute the plan. Show them no mercy.
As his message ended, the fleet surged into action. Starfighters launched from their bays, forming a deadly swarm as they headed toward Alderaan's orbital defenses. The larger warships, including the Ravager and Devastator, moved into position, their weapons primed for battle.
Captain Rylan, target their primary defense platforms,
Malgus ordered.
We need to create an opening for our ground forces.
Rylan nodded, her fingers dancing over the control panel.
Yes, my lord, firing now.
The Deceiver's turbo lasers roared to life, sending bright streaks of energy toward Alderaan's orbital defense platforms. Explosions erupted as the platforms were hit, their shields flickering under the relentless assault. On the bridge of the Alderaanian flagship Guardian, Admiral Yarek paced, his face etched with determination.
All units engage the enemy. We must hold the line until our reinforcements arrive.
Yes, Admiral, came the chorus of replies as Alderaanian fighters launched to intercept the Sith swarm. The void between the fleets became a maelstrom of laser fire and explosions. Sith fighters, sleek and deadly, weaved through the chaos, engaging the more numerous but less maneuverable Alderaanian ships. Malgus watched with satisfaction as his forces began to gain the upper hand.
Vindican led the second wave,
Malgus instructed.
Focus on disabling their command ships.
As you command, Master.
As Vindican moved to carry out his orders, Malgus turned his attention back to the unfolding battle. The Deceiver shuddered as it took a hit, but its shields held firm. Malgus's eyes narrowed, his mind calculating the next move.
Prepare to launch ground forces. As soon as we breach their defenses, We need to establish a foothold on the surface.
Aboard the Guardian, Admiral Yarrick grimaced as another defense platform exploded.
We're losing ground. Prepare for emergency maneuvers. We need to buy time.
The Guardian banked hard, its engines flaring as it tried to evade the Sith onslaught. But the Sith fleet was relentless. The Ravager and Devastator closed in, their combined firepower overwhelming the Alderaanian flagship's shields.
Admiral, we can't hold them.
A junior officer shouted. Yarrick's jaw tightened.
We have to try for Alderaan.
Back on the Deceiver, the moment Malgus had been waiting for arrived.
Captain Rylan, status of their orbital defenses.
The main platforms are down, my lord. We have an opening.
Excellent. Deploy the ground forces. Let the invasion begin.
As dropships and shuttles launched from the Sith fleet, Malgus knew that the real battle was about to start. He could feel the anticipation, the dark energy building within him. Alderaan would fall, and he would lead the charge. On the surface of Alderaan, the capital city of Aldera was a hive of activity. Soldiers scrambled to defensive positions, and civilians were hurried into shelters. General Cartho Nasi and Jedi Knight Satel Shan stood at the city's main command center, their faces grim.
The Sith have broken through our orbital defenses,
Carth reported.
We need to prepare for a ground assault.
Sateli nodded, her eyes closed in brief meditation.
The Force is with us, General. We will do everything in our power to protect Alderaan.
Carth placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice filled with determination.
Then let's make them regret ever coming here.
As the first Sith dropships descended through the atmosphere, Aldera's defenders braced for impact. Anti-aircraft guns roared to life, filling the sky with flak and laser fire. But the Sith were prepared. Dropships deployed countermeasures, and elite troops, including the feared 501st Legion, disembarked swiftly. Malgus himself led the charge, his lightsaber igniting with a menacing hiss. His presence was a beacon of terror and power, rallying his troops and striking fear into the hearts of his enemies.
Secure the perimeter. We need to establish a stronghold here.
The battle on the ground was fierce. Alderaanian soldiers fought valiantly, their determination evident despite the overwhelming odds. Jedi Knights, lightsabers blazing, engaged the Sith in brutal duels. But Malgus's forces were relentless, their training and ferocity giving them the edge. Malgus cut down an enemy soldier with a swift strike, his eyes scanning the battlefield. He spotted a group of Jedi engaging his troops and moved to intercept. His lightsaber clashed with that of a young Jedi Knight, their blades sizzling as they locked.
You cannot win, Sith,
the Jedi said, his voice steady despite the strain.
You are mistaken, Jedi. Alderaan will fall, and your order will crumble with it.
With a powerful push of the Force, Malgus sent the Jedi sprawling. He moved to finish the job, but another Jedi intercepted him, their lightsabers clashing in a flurry of sparks. It was Satel Shan, her determination shining through her every move.
You will not take Alderaan, Malgus,
she declared, her eyes blazing.
We shall see.
Malgus replied, his voice cold and determined. The battle raged on, each side fighting with all their might. The invasion had begun, and the fate of Alderaan hung in the balance. Chapter 5, Ground Assault. The moment Darth Malgus's boots hit the ground, the atmosphere was charged with the crackling energy of battle. The serene beauty of Alderaan's landscapes was marred by the screams of combat and the staccato rhythm of blaster fire. Malgus ignited his lightsaber, the crimson blade a beacon of death in the chaos.
Forward!
Malgus roared, his voice amplified by the Force, carrying over the din of battle.
Crush the resistance!
The 501st Legion responded with a unified shout, their discipline and ferocity evident as they surged forward. Malgus moved with them, his lightsaber cutting through the ranks of Alderaanian soldiers who dared to stand in their way. His movements were precise and lethal, a testament to his mastery of the dark side. A group of Alderaanian soldiers, backed by a Jedi Knight, tried to form a defensive line. Malgus saw the opportunity and charged, his blade humming through the air. The Jedi, a young man with determination in his eyes, stepped forward to meet him.
You'll go no further, Sith,
the Jedi declared. his blue lightsaber springing to life.
You are brave, but foolish.
Their lightsabers clashed with a brilliant flash, the Jedi's movements quick and defensive, while Malgus's strikes were powerful and relentless. The Jedi struggled to keep up, his face a mask of concentration.
Your resistance is futile. The dark side will consume you.
With a final powerful strike, Malgus broke through the Jedi's defense, sending him sprawling to the ground. Before the Jedi could recover, Malgus thrust his lightsaber down, ending the fight. The Alderaanian soldiers, seeing their protector fall, faltered. Malgus seized the moment.
Troopers, advance. Break their lines.
The 500 first surged forward, overwhelming the defenders. Blaster fire filled the air, and the ground was littered with the fallen. Malgus moved through the battlefield, directing his troops with cold efficiency. Nearby, Darth Vindican engaged another group of defenders, his twin lightsabers a blur of red light.
Master, their defenses are crumbling. We should press the attack.
Indeed. We must secure the city center. From there, we can control Alderaan.
As they advanced, the resistance grew fiercer. Alderaanian soldiers and citizens fought with desperate courage, using every means at their disposal to repel the invaders. Malgus admired their tenacity, but he knew it would not be enough. A flash of blue light caught his attention. Another Jedi, this one a woman with a calm yet fierce demeanor, stepped into his path. It was Satele Shan, her presence commanding, and her lightsaber ready.
You will not take Alderaan, Malgus.
His grip tightening on his lightsaber. Their duel began with a flurry of strikes, each testing the other's defenses. Satele was skilled, her movements graceful and precise, but Malgus's power was overwhelming. He pushed her back, using his strength and the Force to batter her defenses.
You fight well, but it is pointless. Alderaan will fall, and your resistance will be crushed.
Satele's eyes blazed with defiance.
The Jedi do not give up so easily.
She countered with a series of swift strikes, forcing Malgus to step back. Her determination was palpable, a stark contrast to his cold, calculated aggression. Their lightsabers clashed again and again, the sound echoing across the battlefield. As they fought, the battle raged around them. Sith troopers pressed their advantage, securing key positions and pushing the defenders back. The city of Alderaan, once a symbol of peace and beauty, was now a war zone. Malgus sensed the tide turning in his favor. He intensified his attacks, his strikes growing more powerful and relentless. Satele struggled to keep up, her defense faltering under the onslaught. With a powerful force push, Malgus sent Satele crashing into a nearby wall. She fell to the ground, her lightsaber skittering away. Malgus approached, his blade raised for the final strike.
Any last words, Jedi?
Satele looked up, her eyes filled with resolve.
This is not over, Malgus. The light will always find a way.
Before Malgus could strike, a barrage of blaster fire forced him to step back. Alderaanian reinforcements arrived, their determination giving new life to the defense. Satele was quickly surrounded by her comrades, who helped her to her feet. Malgus growled in frustration, but knew the battle was far from over. He raised his lightsaber high, rallying his troops for the final push.
Forward! We will take this city and crush any who stand in our way.
The Sith forces redoubled their efforts, pushing the defenders back inch by inch. The ground assault was brutal, but Malgus knew that victory was within reach. Alderaan's spirit was strong, but the might of the Sith was stronger. As the sun set over the battlefield, the fate of Alderaan hung in the balance. The ground assault had begun, and there would be no turning back.